Hey guys, it's Will here, and we are here for the first night of the Tale of Four Gamers. Say hi guys.
Hiya.
So we've got Sam, you probably know. This gentleman over this shoulder is Adam, and this gentleman here is Tom.
Hello.
So yeah, we're going to be doing the first mission tonight, and I'm going to hand over to Sam to explain what that is.
Good, you can shift. Budge. Squeeze in. So, first mission, it'll be the same mission we played in our first slow grow, because it actually worked for the first month. So it's a 4-way free-for-all, so we all get to experience each other's forces from the off. There's a relic in the middle of the board, which will be worth, obviously, 3 victory points at the end of the game. Say the warlord, for each warlord you kill, you will get a victory point. And there's an objective near each deployment zone, which will be a progressive type of an objective. So if you hold your home objective at the end of your turn, you score 1 victory point. If you hold an enemy objective, which is one not next to your deployment zone, you score 2 points at the end of your turn, or end of each turn. So that is the game type. Deployment will be just a round robin, like each one of us will deploy a unit going clockwise, and then whoever finishes going first will go, of deploying first will go first, and then clockwise rounds. There'll be no steal the initiative because it's too hard with 4 players.
Yeah, you can't really steal the initiative with 4 players, but sounds good. So if you saw the introduction to the armies video I put out, it'll be last week by the time this is up, you'll know what we're all playing, but for those of you who didn't, I'm doing the Primaris Scythes of the Emperor. Sam?
I have my Gene Stealer Cult Guard.
I'm doing Tyranids.
And I have my 1,000 Sons.
Oh yes, so those are the armies. If you want to see some work in progress shots, I'll put a link in the description to the introductory video I did, but for now let's take a look at the forces for the first month's game. So here's my first 400 points, or it's actually just under 400 points, of Primaris Scythes of the Emperor. Got a lieutenant leading the force, Primaris lieutenant with power sword, and then 2 squads of intercessors, both 5-man strong, straight out of the Dark Imperium set, and they've all got the bolt rifles on there. Then backing them up, we got a Whirlwind, got the Vengeance missile launcher on there, and then the Stormbolter for a little bit of extra firepower, because why not? So that is just under 400 points the size of the Emperor, and I'm going to hand you over to the other guys to talk about their armies.
Hi, I'm Tom, and this is my 1,000 Sons. Apologies, they're not all finished. They will be for the next battle. I just want to go over quickly what I'm running here. So I've got Araman on a disc. He's coming in at 160 points roughly. Also, I've got an Exalted Sorcerer. He's on a disc. He isn't actually modelled on a disc, but he is the option there for a disc. He's 130 points. And also, I've got a 10-man squad of Zangors at 70 points. All with Zangor blades, so it gives them the +1 attack and the -1 AP. So that's coming in at about 360 points. Yeah, apologies they're not all painted, but they will be finished for the next game. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Right, so here is my 400 points exactly of Tyranids. In the front we've got 10 Horn Gaunts, and behind them 6 Gene Stealers, because that's how the points worked out. They're all totally based, no upgrades whatsoever, we're just going for cheap force of numbers. Then behind them we have our fast attack of 3 Raveners, each of them upgraded only with Spine Fist, just to give them that bit more punch in close combat with the pistols. And then behind them we have the big bad guy, a Flying Hive Tyrant, armed with 2 Despoters with Slimer Worms, new Twin Dink Devourer replacement. We've got monstrous rending claws on him because they're free, toxin sacs and adrenal glands upgrade just to make him that bit more deadly, and that's about it.
Right, last army in the Tale of Four is my Guards, or Astra Millitarum. Now they will run as pure Astra Millitarum, but the idea for this army is to add it to my Gene Stealer Cult as a Brood Brothers detachment. So you'll notice I've used a couple of Gene Stealer Cult heads from the Neophyte kit and the upgrade sprue. But yeah, I will be using pure Millitarum rules, so I won't be using any Gene Stealer Cult like Goliath or anything like that. So just going over my 400 points, I've got a lot more than the rest of the guys. I think I outnumber them all combined almost. So I've got a battalion unlike the others who are using patrols, being led
by a focus phone, company commander there, and a company commander there. That gives me lots of access to orders and stuff. I've then got 3 identical infantry squads, all with a heavy weapon autocannon, a grenade launcher, because crack grenades are savage in this edition. I hadn't realised how good they actually are, but being like strength 6 with a -1 or 2, -1 AP I think, with D3 damage, are pretty damn strong. And each squad obviously has a Voxcaster to boost the range of my orders should a commander be near them. Just a couple of, like, you see the Genius to the Cult heads there? I was focused on the rear, guys. Come on, focus on the sergeant. Focus. Nope, doesn't want to do it. So that's like the core of my army. I've got the 3 infantry squads there. And then just to back it up, because I had points and heavy weapons teams are bog cheap, we've got 3 las cannons, just because las cannons are savage in this edition, and 3 missile launchers. I don't actually think the missile launchers are that much worse than las cannons. 1 less strength, 1 less AP, but they still do the D6 damage, so they should still be nice, and option for frag missiles if I need them. So yeah, that is my first 400 points. It's a lot more than the others, so excuse me, we'll see how it does. On to the game.
So we're all set up for the first mission now. Tom finished deploying first, having only 3 units in his army, so he's clustered over on that side. Sam's over there, and he'll be going second because we're going round clockwise. He's got by far and away the most models, but limited mobility with all those heavy weapons and it being full infantry. He's potentially pinned back a bit, but you know, home objective is worth something, so might be worth trying to push forward to that. Then we've got Adam's Tyranids, mostly looking like they're going to go for the guard, but the Gene Stealers are coming this way. He's also got a unit of Raveners in Deep Strike reserves, ready to pop up wherever they fancy. And then my forces down here, Whirlwind's nice and far back, trying to stay out of the way and just bombard with missiles. And then my 2 squads have trying to make the most of cover, but they need to move forward to get into it. And then the lieutenant in the middle to give his aura ability out to both of them. We got the 1 centre objective here, which works like the Relic from the Relic mission, and then a progressive objective next to each deployment zone that we're all going to need to push forward to get. Anyway, that's the deployment. There's no seize the initiative, so Tom will be going first. So Tom's first turn basically consisted of him moving his army into the cover of those ruins. So the sorcerer's up top, Araman's down the bottom. He used warp time in the psychic phase to push the Zangors in there, and then also used prescience to give them +1 to hit if they get to attack anything later in the turn possibly, or just generally to throw out lots of psychic goodness because Thousand Suns. He also tried to cast Weavers of Fate on them, which would have given them a bonus to their invuln save, but he failed that despite using a command point for a reroll. So no actual shooting, because he basically has no shooting. So on to Sam's Imperial Guard. So Sam pushed up the 1 squad there to get to his objective, allowing him to score the first point of the game. He then used a plethora of orders to fire at both the Scythes of the Emperor and the Thousand Suns. He felt he shouldn't be firing at the Tyranids because he's supposed to be a Gene Stealer cult themed army. He shouldn't be firing at Adam's Tyranids, which is just not fair, because it will cost him something maybe later in the game. But he only killed a single Space Marine over here, although he had a lot of long range firepower. Only managed to kill a single guy thanks to some poor to wound rolls. But he did kill off 4 Zangors. These would all be alive if it wasn't for the failed psychic power. They all rolled a 4 for their invuln, and would have all lived had he got off the +1 to invuln. They did pass their leadership test though, although they had to use another command point to do it, which means that we are now going on to the Tyranid turn. Pretty straightforward first turn for the Tyranids there. Pushed up his Hormagaunts to get to that objective, leaving one guy a bit further back with a view to staying in Synapse range. Gene Stealers advanced into the cover here, looking to threaten the Scythes of the Emperor. Flyrant moved up next to them and cast Catalyst on himself. He then opened up with his Death Spitters at the back squad, but only got one hit, which then failed to... wounded, but then failed to get through the armour. So a lucky escape there for the Scythes of the Emperor, and now it's our turn. So with Gene Stealers and a Hive Tyrant bearing down on me, I decided the first port of call was to pull back a little bit. So I moved the guys back into this crater, giving me +1 to my save, gaining me the objective and keeping a bit more separation, although it may not be enough to save me. Shooting, the Whirlwind started off and had a pretty poor roll to hit actually, got 1 hit of 4 shots. But then had to use a reroll for a command point to wound the Hive Tyrant, who subsequently passed his save. So a little bit disappointing there from the Whirlwind. But the first squad did a little bit better, putting 1 wound on the Hive Tyrant. And the second squad realised they weren't going to do great damage to the Hive Tyrant, so they went for the Gene Stealers, and killed 2 of them. So that's the squad down at 2/3 strength already, which might just be enough to save my bacon next turn when he charges me. But yeah, that's the point scored for me. So most of us are on 1 point. Tom is yet to score 1, but I'm sure that's about to change as we go into the Thousand Suns' second turn. Turn 2, and the Thousand Suns get aggressive. He advanced his Zangors towards the Guardsmen, meaning they would have to shoot the Zangors. And Ahriman jumped into the middle, accompanied by his Sorcerer. They then proceeded to warp time the Sorcerer a little bit further forward, and then started with a barrage of other psychic powers. Ahriman has got +1 to his Invuln from a psychic power that I can't remember the name of, and then he gave Diabolical Strength to this Sorcerer, who proceeded to charge the Gene Stealers and wipe them out in combat. Killed 3 of them with his own attacks, thanks to being Strength 8 for Diabolical Strength. He then, that's obviously the staff bonus as well, he then realised he had 1 more attack with his disc, which killed the last Gene Stealer. So yeah, I'm rather relieved about that, because they were threatening my lines. So Gene Stealers are gone. That's a nice solid kill for the Thousand Suns. And Ahriman is practically on the Relic and almost untargetable. So yeah, pretty good turn there for Tom. He hasn't actually scored any points yet, but he's heading the right way, that's for sure. Let's see how Sam's going to respond to this. So Sam left that lead guard squad in position to score another point this turn, although they are under threat from the Hormagaunts potentially. But most of it was about shooting. He pushed up this squad here, although not their heavy weapon, and that brought them into rapid fire range of the Zangors. First rank fire, second rank fire, goodbye Zangors. Everything else pretty much targeted Ahriman, who tanked it like a boss thanks to a 3-up Invuln save, and the autocannon from the infantry squad at the back, because they were a bit out of range of Ahriman with their main guns, targeted my Primaris Marines, but missed completely. So we're safe for now. Sam scores another point, which I think puts him into the lead, but the Tyranids are bearing down, ready to strike. So a very aggressive turn for the Tyranids here. Raveners popped up right in my deployment zone. Hive Tyrant pushed up, and the Hormagaunts swang round here. They charged this Sorcerer and didn't do any damage to him, saved it all. Oh no, sorry, they did do 1 wound, and then he killed what looks to be at least 7 of them. Exactly 7 after leadership, so they have suffered badly there. Raveners and the Hive Tyrant didn't fare much better in the shooting phase, firing all at the Primaris and failing to do any damage. In the assault phase, the Hive Tyrant killed 2 of my guys, and the Raveners put a single wound onto them. Those 3-up armour saves are paying dividends. Hitting back, I managed to put a wound onto the Raveners, or was it 2 wounds? 2 wounds onto one of the Raveners, so yeah, and we passed our leadership, and so now it's time for the counter-attack, and particularly time for me to enjoy the full benefits of Ultramarine chapter tactics. Great turn for the Scythes of the Emperor there. I stepped the Intercessor squad out of combat, and then they shot the Raveners, put 1 down actually. Then the Whirlwind fired, Stormbolter at the Raveners, killed another one, and the Vengeance Launcher put 4 wounds onto the Hive Tyrant, bringing him down to just 5. I then chucked a crack grenade at the Raveners from the lieutenant, but missed. And finally used the Ultramarine-specific Scions of Guilliman stratagem to give these guys the larger Intercessor Squad rerolls to hit, which did another wound to the Hive Tyrant. A little bit disappointing, could have been more, but hey, it is what it is. And finally, my Lieutenant charged into the Raveners with his Burning Blade and finished the last one off. So that's the Raveners wiped out, the Hive Tyrant down below half wounds, and still holding the objective for a second point. So pretty solid turn there. Now let's see what the Thousand Suns are going to bring to the table. So, Ahriman started the turn off by grabbing the Relic in the movement phase, while the Sorcerer came over here. Ahriman then used Warp Time on himself to come over here, ready to charge the Primaris Marines. But before that, he killed one of the injured squad with a smite. That's it. Yep, and left the other guy on 1 wound after the shooting. Other than that, he tried to move his other sorcerer, who you can see is somewhat absent, up behind the Hive Tyrant. Cast Diabolical Strength on that, which gave him +2 to his already +2'd strength. But he perils in the meantime, double 6, and took 3 mortal wounds, leaving on just a single wound. He successfully pulled off a charge despite being wounded by the Hive Tyrant's Overwatch. He passed his save, and then put 3 wounds on the Tyrant, who just passed his save from the Discs attack on his Invun, and yeah, so the Tyrant just lived. Ahriman attacked the second Primaris squad, and failed to do anything thanks to my armour saves, and took a wound in return. But then the Hive Tyrant swang back, missed with his tail, but hit with his Rending Claws, and killed off that Sorcerer. So, yeah, it was a bold move, but Tzeentch is fickle, and it did not go his way. Primaris Marines continue to just sort of hold the ground and be like, yeah, we're here, we're happy, we don't care. And everybody's ignoring Sam, because he's got way too many guns. But now it's his turn. Let's see what these way too many guns can do. With the Imperial Guard being somewhat unmolested up to this point, and the armies either side of him being seriously depleted, it was time for them to move out and start grabbing these objectives. So I moved 1 infantry squad over here. They proceeded to wipe out the Hormagaunts, and moved another squad this way towards this objective. In the shooting phase, apart from the fire of the Hormagaunts, everything targeted the sergeant of the already severely depleted Intercessor squad, and as you can see, he's finally gone, although it did take missile launchers, las cannons and autocannons to take him down. He was a little bit unlucky with his shooting. I was a little bit lucky with my saves, but the short story is that he's gone. But yeah, I've still got a decent amount left, considering how much I've had to deal with. So here we go. What's the Hive Tyrant going to do as the one survivor of the Tyranid army? Right, so the Hive Tyrant decided he wanted to go after Ahriman this turn. So he flew over here, fired at the Whirlwind actually, but passed its save. He then charged Ahriman and did 3 wounds to him. Ahriman then tried to kill the Hive Tyrant but didn't do anything. Tried to kill the Primaris, didn't do anything. I didn't do anything back to him, although I had lost a Primaris Marine to a smite from the Hive Tyrant earlier in the turn. So right now, Ahriman is on 2 wounds, the Hive Tyrant's on 1 wound, Ahriman's holding the Relic, and they're all hanging around in my deployment zone. So now is the time for the Scythes of the Emperor to pull off something impressive, we hope. My original plan here was to back out of combat with the squad, turn around and shoot the guys I was in combat with, but because they were still locked in combat with each other, I couldn't shoot them. So instead, I pushed this Intercessor squad up towards the next objective, and managed to kill a couple of guys from those squad who actually still need to take a leadership test. It's a 1, they're fine. Whirlwind also pushed up, ready to get onto this next objective for next turn, and then fired at the las cannon squad over there, but missed completely. And then my lieutenant tried to bravely charge into Araman and finish him off with his burning blade. But this was a bit of an interesting one. Lieutenant charged, failed to hurt Araman. Araman swings back, kills the lieutenant with 2 attacks he'd chosen to swing at him. He chose to swing the other 2 at the Hive Tyrant. He killed the Hive Tyrant, but we agreed that those 2 would fight simultaneous because there was neither player's turn to go back and forth. So the Hive Tyrant also took out Araman. So both Araman and the Hive Tyrant are dead. That gives Tom 2 points, 1 for killing the Tyrant and 1 for killing the Lieutenant. And Adam, not Andy, I nearly called him Andy there, gets a point for killing Araman. But both of them are now wiped out. Araman drops the Relic, I score another point there. So it's not all doom and gloom for the Primaris Marines, but I think the Imperial Guard have the table. With all the other distractions removed, the Imperial Guard gun line that was essentially at full strength just opened up on the Primaris Marines, and to be honest, I was lucky to not suffer more casualties than I did. This squad's down to just 2 guys, but they passed the leadership test, and the las cannons put 3 wounds onto the Whirlwind. He's also moved this squad up to here to grab that, and this squad over here to grab that, so he's scoring a lot of points. It took a move to get them there, which does kind of put them in harm's way, but probably not enough to change the outcome of the game at this point. I think Sam's got it, but we will play it out. For the Emperor! We're up to the end of the 4th turn now. I moved my intercessors back to grab the Relic that Araman had dropped in the vague hope I might be able to hold it till the end of the game, and the Whirlwind pushed up. My plan was the Whirlwind was going to charge into these guys and grab that objective, but I failed my charge. Did manage to kill 1 guy from over here, but other than that, it is, not a great turn, but I did grab the Relic, but now I've still got lots and lots of angry guardsmen firing at me. So, minimal movement from the Imperial Guard this turn, just pushing up some of the heavy weapons to make sure they're in range, and mostly targeting the Whirlwind. Although he only actually got 1 weapon wounded, it did do 5 wounds, so it's on just 4 left. He also tried to fire some autocannons at the surviving 2 Primaris Marines, but they're okay as well. He did score 5 points that turn for holding that objective, and that objective, but he didn't actually kill anything. On to the 5th and probably final turn. So continuing to push what little advantage I have on this side of the board. Whirlwind backed up and made sure it claimed that objective, while the squad that now had the Relic charged into this squad here, killed a total of 3 over the course of the turn for no casualties in return. But he originally failed his leadership test with a 6 that would have led to most of the squad fleeing, but used one of the many command points he has for his battalion to re-roll that, got a 1, so they're sticking around. However, I do claim that because of Guardians of Humanity, so that's a nice little turn of scoring, although he is still in the lead. And Sam, would you like to roll to see if the game ends? It's a 6. He's going to re-roll that. It's a 1. Game ends. Good game, lads. Thank you very much, everyone. And we'll see you guys in a minute for the post-game. Okay, so before we get to the post-game, let's take a look at the scores from the first month's Painting and Gaming. For those of you who didn't see the last Tale of Four Gamers that we did, we're scoring points for both the quality of your painting, the quantity of new units added, and also how you've performed in the game. But unlike the last time, we've increased the points for gaming scores and reduced the painting points slightly. So, if you have really good gaming performances, that can outweigh perhaps lower painting scores, whereas a very high painting score might not cover over poor gaming results. But anyway, let's take a look at what we all got. So starting up with Adam. He's got Hive Tyrant, Gene Stealers, Hormagaunts and Reavers, all painted at level 2, which is now worth 1 point each, and we give a bonus point for adding at least 1 new fully painted unit. And coming 3rd in the game gave him another 6 points, leaving him on a total of 11. Then on to Sam's Astra Millitarum, added an absolute bucket load of units with 2 commanders, 3 infantry squads, 2 heavy weapons team, and we ummed and ahed about the painting. We went for level 2 in the end. I think, yeah, they were, there were ink washes there. There was some attempts at highlighting some of them, so yeah, we'll give him level 2. Yep, winning the game gave him 8 points, giving him a total of 16. So a really nice first month score there for Sam. Tom didn't do so great. Now, he said that his Ahriman and his other sorcerer were unfinished, so he didn't want to sort of declare them as finished this month. Personally, I thought they looked absolutely great and were well worth level 3 painting standard, but he says they're not done, so he'll score the points for them once they are done next time he uses them. We can all agree though that those Zangors were unpainted, which loses him 2 points, unfortunately. That and a less than ideal result in the game gives him just a single point this month, but it's still early days, and having seen the quality of the stuff he's painting for the rest of the army, I think he's going to have no trouble claiming some big painting points back as we go forward. And then finally, my Scythes of the Emperor. I was the only one whose painting was ranked at level 3 this month, but only because Tom hasn't actually submitted anything for painting scores yet. But yeah, I was very pleased with that, and 4 units gives me a nice tally of points. Coming second in the game helps as well, giving me a total of 15 points this month. And as you can see, this Tale of 4 Gamers is starting very much as the last one ended, with Sam narrowly out in front from me, 16 points to 15. Other guys a little bit further back, but there's still more than enough time to make that up. And ultimately, the scores are just a bit of fun. The real aim of this is to produce new, nicely painted armies by the end, and that is certainly the direction we're heading. Right, there we have it then. That was actually a really fun game. I think we all had a good time there, even those who perhaps didn't make it all the way through the game.
Not quite. I'd say it was a damn good game. There was plenty of banter and we had a good laugh. That's the main point of this.
Absolutely, yeah. You've got to have a bit of fun, haven't you?
Yeah, it's the most fun game I've had in a long, long time. Really good fun.
Excellent.
Even though I didn't do too good, I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's certainly good times. And yeah, Adam.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising when 2 people die at the same time, which never really happens.
Yeah, I say there's a few scenarios that came up that weren't like, how does that actually work? Can you do that or can't you because of the multiplayer? I don't know what the answer is, but we made it work and had fun with it.
I say we're gonna use some house rules, like with the multiple player combats, like simultaneous combats in another player's turn if they're involved in said combat.
Yeah, because that's kind of what happened with Magnus and the Hive Tyrant.
Magnus.
No, sorry, Ahriman and the Hive Tyrant taking themselves out in my turn. So both died in my turn, but I had nothing to do with it. I just charged into them with a lieutenant.
You died as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I died as well. We had 3 general kills in one combat. But yeah, good times, and the armies are coming along nicely. Varying degrees of there's too many bodies, but
well, that's what you get when you paint 41 models in like 2 weeks.
Flipping heck, that averages out at less than 10 points a model. That's and then I'm thinking, yeah, I've got 12 models. But yeah, we've certainly got some plans for next time. I know you're looking to get some of your rubric out.
Yeah, I'm going to have rubric marines on. Basically, I've left a 50-point gap, so I took 360 points, so I can take 10-man squad of rubric marines next game.
Nice.
So it should make up for it.
And you're planning to add a Wyvern, aren't you, mate?
Yeah, maybe a Wyvern. I might put a Russ in. I've got a lot of stuff ready to go that's in boxes still, so I'll probably decide. That's probably my biggest drop for infantry. It's probably going to go more vehicle heavy now.
Yeah. And what are you planning to add, Adam?
I've just started heavily customising a Trigon Prime, so be dropping a load of units right behind everyone's lines, hopefully.
Trigon Prime and Raveners. I mean, to be fair, the Raveners didn't have a great game today. They kind of bounced a bit, but that's not to say they haven't got the potential to do well. It's just they may not have had the best target. And yeah, I'm looking to bring some Hellblasters. Need the plasma. going to need the plasma to deal with that Trigon, I think, and maybe the Rubricae, and most of the Guard army. No, actually, Bolters will do that.
Avoid the guard army.
There's no point in shooting plasma at guard. Just shoot your bolters.
Yeah, just shoot the bolters down.
It all kills them the same.
Awesome. Alright, well, thanks a lot for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. We certainly enjoyed filming it, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Bye.